our mission in a equally good manner. Good morning. I introduce myself. I am Francesco Sarnicola. I've organized the conference, but also working as a volunteer for SIXO for this noble as well as ambitious project. First of all, let me brief you about what SIXO is. It's a non-profit organization whose purpose is to spread scientific knowledge by means of conferences and meetings. Since 2001, let me take this opportunity to remember our next year conference from the 17th to the 27th to the 29th of June in Turin. And we also have tutoring and mentoring roles and tasks. On our website, an application form is already published. There will be two different types of applications possible for those who will apply for tutoring and the ones who instead propose themselves as volunteers. Of course, in terms of volunteers, we are not only looking for surgeons, but also nurses and ophthalmology assistants. To move on without boring you too much. Okay, how's the application? First of all, we ask in a at the first stage simply names and who you are and what's your role within the organization and where are you contacting us from. And we need then details on the operative room. And clearly, I have a degree in economics and finance. It isn't for me to explain to you how important is it to have a dedicated operating room for ophthalmology, and then microscope. It doesn't mean that you must have a latest generation microscope, but a microscope that can allow for a good visibility of the tissue and the procedure. And also it is important for us to know what autoclave system you have available, because we have to calculate the number of devices to be brought on the mission, because of course the better the autoclave, the faster the autoclave system will be better. And then finally, we ask for accessing the opportunity to access to local and general anesthesia and, if possible, hospitalization. And then this is the third stage. We ask for the clinical and surgical equipment available in the facility that offers to host the mission, and then OCT of the anterior segment is necessary. Other tools such as the endothelial cell count or a FAC machine are necessary. A list of disposable and non-disposable material also will have to be supplied. And then talking about tissues, okay, the recruitment of tissues, of course, is very important. And clearly enough, countries hosting the mission will have to have a national eye bank. And however, there should be tissues available for the mission to be performed. And then it will be up to SIXO help the country finding tissues, maybe importing them from other countries if necessary. And then in the case there is already an eye bank available locally, we will ask whether the tissues can be pre-cut and pre-stripped. And finally, when it comes to the resources, we ask for the number of people to be educated and trained, and the TBT level achieved. So the experience that has been gained over the years, and then scrub nurses are there available, and the type of training they're interested into one procedure rather than another one, or a general overview of all the available surgical techniques. Then let me talk about the feasibility of the mission in terms of financial sustainability and also organizational sustainability. So the variables, the factors that may affect the cost, the overall cost of a mission are a number. First of all, we have the cost, the tissue costs. This requires quite an organizational effort. Then we have insurance costs. We have the cost for materials, travel expenses, and accommodation expenses, but these are all expenses that will, of course, depend on the type of mission that is being organized. So, of course, and they may differ according to, depending on whether the mission will take place in Indonesia or Asia or Europe. And then we have advisory expenses because certainly we will need consultants, so legal consultants and cross-border regulation experts. So all the laws concerning tissue exporting and importing. I have tried to identify here three types of mission. The first one is low cost, and this isn't a qualitative judgment, but only in terms of expenses. So countries where tissues are relatively cheap as compared to when tissues must be imported from other countries, and also travel expenses, the level of travel expenses that may be planned for. So in the first case, we have a mission that will have a limited cost, but were we to go to a facility that needs all other factors and materials, of course, the costs will be higher. So that's why the application form must be filled in correctly, because it is very important to determine the cost of the mission. And then we have again the feasibility of the mission. So the partially covered or fully covered costs and no cost coverage. You see in the three colors. As Dr. Pontin was suggesting, first of all, a pilot project will have to be deployed, but I think we are already able to organize such a mission. Then we have missions which are partially covered, where SICSO and other maybe corporations may cover the costs. And then we have countries, probably in developing countries, where there are no financial resources available. And so we will have to find a way to cover all the expenses. Also resorting to sponsors and industries to cover these costs. And finally, let me thank all the board members, because at the beginning of the project, there were more than a few reserves on the feasibility of the mission, and thanks to the huge generosity of these persons, now we are sure that we can do a very good job. And because, the most important thing is to find people who are not only competent technically, but who are prepared to share the talent and knowledge, and this is more difficult. So without these people, such a mission wouldn't be possible. Thank you once again.